Have you ever faced a moment so shattering, so profoundly unjust, that it felt like the world itself had cracked open? A moment where everything you believed in, everything you held dear, was torn away in an instant. Today, we're going to talk about a man who lived through that nightmare. A man who watched the person responsible for destroying his life walk away, seemingly without consequence. This is the story of David, and it begins on the worst day of his life. The courtroom was cold, sterile. The air, thick with unspoken words and the sterile scent of polished wood and old paper, felt suffocating. David sat motionless, his hands clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. Across the room, a young man, barely out of his teens, stood as the verdict was read. Not guilty. The words echoed in the cavernous space, a hammer blow to David's already broken heart. This was the man who, on a rainy Tuesday night, had gotten behind the wheel after too many drinks. The man whose car had collided with his wife, Sarah's, as she walked home from her art class. The man who had extinguished the brightest light in David's universe. And he was walking free. As the courtroom doors swung shut, they didn't just close on a legal proceeding, they closed on David's world. The vibrant colors of his life with Sarah, their shared laughter over silly movies, the smell of her painting studio, the warmth of her hand in his, all faded to a desolate gray. The days that followed blurred into a monotonous cycle of grief. He stopped going to work, his once promising career as an architect crumbling like the blueprints he no longer had the heart to look at. Friends would call, their voices laced with pity and concern, but David would just let the phone ring. He built a fortress of solitude around himself, its walls constructed from bitterness and a grief so profound it felt like a physical weight pressing down on his chest. The house, once a sanctuary of love, became a museum of pain. Every corner held a memory of Sarah. Her favorite mug still sat by the sink. Her half-finished canvas, a landscape of a sunset, stood on its easel, a permanent, painful reminder of a life cut short. David would wander through the silent rooms, a ghost in his own home, talking to her as if she were still there. He was drowning, and the anchor pulling him down was a single, burning question. How could the world be so unfair? How could he go on living when she couldn't? His anger was a poison, and it was slowly, methodically, killing him from the inside out. He wasn't just mourning Sarah, he was mourning the man he used to be, the future they were supposed to have. One afternoon, lost in his haze of sorrow, David stumbled upon an old box of Sarah's things. Inside, nestled among photos and letters, was her journal. His hands trembled as he opened it. Her elegant script filled the pages, not with sadness, but with an overwhelming sense of love and hope. She wrote about her work at a local community center, helping survivors of trauma find their voice through art. She described the quiet joy of seeing someone, broken and withdrawn, pick up a paintbrush for the first time and create something beautiful. She wrote, "In every broken piece, there's a chance to build something new. Art doesn't erase the cracks. It makes them part of a new, stronger whole." Those words struck David like a bolt of lightning. For the first time in months, a sliver of light pierced his darkness. Sarah hadn't just been his wife, she had been a healer. Her legacy wasn't in the things she left behind, but in the lives she had touched. A thought, fragile at first, began to form in his mind. What if he could continue her work? He knew nothing about art therapy, but he knew everything about pain. He understood what it felt like to be shattered into a million pieces. With the resolve he hadn't felt in years, David walked into that same community center. He didn't offer to teach art, he offered to listen. He started a small support group, a circle of people less in a dusty room. At first, only a few people showed up, each carrying their own invisible burdens. David didn't offer easy answers or cheap platitudes. He simply shared his own story, his own raw, unfiltered pain. In that shared vulnerability, something miraculous happened. People started to open up. A veteran spoke of the horrors of war. A young woman shared her story of surviving a violent attack. In that room, their collective pain didn't multiply. It began to dissipate. By sharing the weight, it became lighter for everyone to carry. David had found a new purpose. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was helping others survive. He saw that his own suffering, as immense as it was, could be a bridge to connect with others, to show them they weren't alone. He saw a reflection of Sarah's spirit in the resilience of these strangers. He learned that healing wasn't about forgetting. It was about finding a way to carry the past without letting it crush you. He was transforming his personal tragedy into a source of collective strength. The architect who once designed buildings was now helping people rebuild their lives. Years passed. The support group flourished, becoming a beacon of hope in the community. David was no longer the ghost haunting his own house. He was a pillar, a man who had walked through fire and emerged, not unscathed, but stronger, and ready to guide others through their own flames. Then, one day, he saw a name in the local news. It was the young man from the courtroom. The article detailed his struggles with addiction and his recent efforts to turn his life around, speaking to youth groups about the dangers of drunk driving. An old, familiar anger flickered in David's chest. But this time, it was different. It was quieter, less consuming. He saw not a monster, but a broken person, just like the many he had helped over the years. A man haunted by his own ghosts. David knew what he had to do. It was the final, most difficult step in his own journey. At a large community event, with a reporter present, David stood on stage and spoke. He told his story, the story of Sarah, of his despair, and of his long road to healing. And then, he did the unthinkable. He looked directly into the camera and said, "To the young man who took my wife's life, I want you to know something. I forgive you." The silence in the room was absolute. He continued, his voice steady and clear, "I don't forgive you for your sake. I forgive you for mine. I forgive you so that I can be free. My anger was a prison, and by holding onto it, I was letting you control my life long after that tragic night. Forgiveness is not about saying what you did was okay. It is about taking back my power. It is about choosing peace over pain." In that moment, David wasn't just speaking to one man. He was speaking to everyone who had ever been wronged, everyone who carried the heavy burden of resentment. He showed the world that forgiveness isn't a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength. It is the final victory over pain. He had turned his personal apocalypse into a global message of hope. David's story teaches us a profound lesson. Life will inevitably knock us down. We will face injustice, heartbreak, and loss that feels unbearable. And in those moments, we have a choice. We can let the bitterness consume us, trapping us in a prison of our own making, or we can choose the harder path, the path of forgiveness, not for them, but for us. Because the greatest victory we can ever achieve isn't winning against those who hurt us, it is forgiving them. It's choosing to heal. It's turning our deepest pain into our greatest purpose. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey today. If this story touched you, please consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear this message. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories that inspire and uplift. Until next time, remember to choose peace.